Yes, my people. So this is someone's trade, and I'm just gonna go over it. So if I make this large, so we have, I don't know what time frame this is on, but we have our SBS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see price was above the SMA. We've now kind of gotten below it, which is completely fine. Obviously, I don't think he took the trade from here, but this was just his higher time frame. And then you can see how on our 1 minute chart you also had the SBS flip, confirm flip, and then he just took the 618 from here. So, and again, yeah, I mean, do I blame him? Not necessarily, but there's so many ways in which this could have been avoided. So we're gonna get right into that. So entry was 618. So as he said here, so this 5 minute zone came from a five. So this 5M zone came from a 5M zone. Before that, in that zone, price tapped 618, started going up on the 1 minute. There was a confirmed flip. Price was below SMA, so I didn't take it, and I waited. Price flipped to the bearish, and then as you see on the second photo, it flipped again, and confirmed flip occurred. So I thought it was a good idea to take 618 limit. I got caught up on the 1 minute because it was actually a 5 minute zone. So a better idea maybe would be again to wait for price to flip. Not a good one, and I got caught up on the 1M. So obviously from the analysis you can see that he used the 5 minute zone as I said here, and then from that 5 minute zone he went down to the 1 minute. He could see that price flipped essentially, but it wasn't enough for the win, and obviously he got caught up within structure, within price on the 1 minute, and obviously he caught a losing trade. So we're gonna now dissect on how this could have potentially been avoided, and yeah, so let's head over to the charts. So if you guys remember, he had this area mapped out with the MSB, and now I'm gonna do the same thing here. So it was from here, which is correct. So we are trading from this low, and we are currently trading from this high, which is the high that we like for price to run. So the first issue that he's done is his SBS. So he doesn't have a clean cut SBS where 1, 2, 3, yes it works, but it's not a clean cut SBS. Because remember the number 2 has to be a form of liquidity, and sometimes it does work, but you want that 2 to be a good 2. It can't just be a random 2. So for instance, let's just say this was 1, this was 2, this was 3, 4, 5. This makes much more sense because this is a better level in terms of liquidity, where a lot of people would have had their stocks below that low, and now they've been taken out. So if you now told me, yeah, that's the 2, that's the manipulation, then that would have made much more sense. However, we're just very deeper into the zone. So that's the first thing potentially he could have improved on. But again, SBS is just a sequence. We still look for other things to potentially get ourselves in. So this was his 5 minute chart, and of course he didn't enter off the 618 based off the 5 minute chart, and he went down to his 1 minute time frame. So on his 1 minute time frame, if we just get it out one more time, this is what his 1 minute time frame looked like. So he said, well, so for him, he anticipated that basically price closed below these lows here, then price took out this high here, and then we took out this high here. So that was his confirmed flip, and then obviously he had SBS from 1 to, so he had SBS where this was 1, this was 2, and then this was 3. So again, there's nothing wrong with that, because you understand that, what's it called, sometimes price comes further down to mitigate something lower. However, you see this flip that he had here, so you see this flip that he had, that happened before the market structure break. So how can that be your flip for this zone here? Doesn't make sense, because this flip happened before the MSB, so essentially you need price to do something within here first as the flip. He's done it before. So now that's where that's also another mistake that he's done, you know. And again, on a 1 minute time frame, we are still kind of below the SMA. So again, like that as 1, 2, 3, there's nothing wrong with that. Price tapped into, you know, this area of supply and demand, which is basically the SNDR, you can say. And remember, if I go to my low time frame now, you can see how price has been making lower lows and lower highs. So, you know, essentially, price needs to take out this high in order for us to have our first flip. Price needs to get above our SMAs in order to have the what's it called, for us to, you know, potentially look for something higher. And even so, essentially, based off the 15-second chart, price needs to take out this high over there. So we can see how when we let price play out, price takes out our 5-second flip. So essentially, you have your 5-second flip, and then we can see how price doesn't give us the confirmed flip. So potentially even in here, yes, you could have potentially, yes, caught a little 1-to-1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's your 5. This is your 4. It doesn't really matter. And yes, you could have potentially caught something higher, you know, capitalize a little bit, but we are below the SMA. So what would make much more sense for me to be looking for shorts? That's when you're going down to the lower time frames. If we're sticking to the 1 minute, like I said before, where was our last? Because I know a lot of people don't have access to the second chart, which is completely cool as well. So let's just say we can see that price is making low lows and low high. So we made a high, low, higher high, lower low. So we need to take out this high here, because that's my last up down movement. That's my last area of supply and demand. So essentially, you will know that the first change of order flow is when we disrespect this area of supply and demand here. You can see how price taps into it, and then what's happened? We rejected from it very, very nicely. So, you know, when you look at things from an acute level, remember this area of supply and demand is a lower time frame zone. The minute we go down to our second chart, you can see that is a lower time frame zone, and you can see that we have a bearish SBS, where this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and then price rejection and went down the other way. If I even go lower, my 5-second chart, it's a zone. So when you're looking at these things, you have to be very careful and really understand and really mark up your checklist. So if you go back to our 5-minute chart, one, on the 5 minute, it wasn't the greatest SBS, which is completely fine because you still look for more things. Two, number two, the flip that he had. So remember, the flip that he had here had occurred before the actual MSB. So technically, you can't really use that and then use that 1 minute as your confirmed flip, because it's happened before the actual 5-minute MSB. You see that? Because essentially, if that's your confirmed flip, then technically you could say that's almost like a, what's it called, market structure shift, if that makes sense. But also we understand that when there's an area where price hasn't mitigated, you know, price tends to make its way, tap into it and obviously push up higher. So again, like, this is why you have to be very careful when, you know, marking out structural points of view, and just making sure that you have things marked out properly. You have a checklist where you can follow, and we can see even here, this is a RSI, this is higher, this is lower, this is lower, this is higher. So what's that telling me? That this is a fake market structure break. So a lot of people would have marked this out as a market structure break, but it's a fake one. Price, there's no strength within this MSB, and you can see how price has, you know, made its way back down. So you can see how this trade could have been avoided just by using certain variables. But yeah, that's all I've got to say today. It wasn't the worst trade I've seen. It wasn't the best trade I've seen. Maybe on another day this will work, but this is why we have a checklist put in place, so that way we don't get cooked, especially on a lower time frame. But as I always say, victory belongs to the most tenacious. And wherever you're in the world, I'm wishing you guys a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. And I'll see you lots whenever I see you lots in it. Love my people. Peace.